Okay, sorry about that delay. Had a whole bunch of trouble with the YouTube live event stuff. I don't have any idea what's going on, but we're here, we're live. I apologize for the delay. Hopefully I can figure out what's going on for next time. Anyway, I'm excited that everybody's here. If you're a first time, welcome. I hope that you enjoy the stream. If you have any questions, anything, feel free to jump in and leave a comment. I'm reading through this as we go, so I'll hopefully be able to answer any questions that you've got. If you're returning, I'm glad that you're back. It's good to see you guys. I love hanging out with everybody and kind of answering questions, talking about whatever. It's great. And finally, if you're a vendor or a someone that wants something reviewed or talked about or built online, let me know. I'd be excited to do a live stream for you or do some product videos or whatever. This particular stream is funded by my wallet. It's also a very cheap one, and so I'm kind of excited about that as a result. So basically, antennas are really expensive. So this is an AOM-way. This is like 15. No, this one's actually pretty cheap, but that's beside the point. This is a Bluebeam Ultra Race Spec Edition, and I've got a couple Bluebeam Ultra regular with the really hefty cap on the top. That and they work awesome, but they're like $60 a piece, which is fine, I guess. But I want to keep costs down while being able to do things on my own, so that I can kind of learn about them a little bit and make things more, I don't know, DIY friendly. And so what I've been doing over the last couple weeks, and I am no expert at this by any chance, by any stretch of the imagination. I'm no expert at making antennas, but what I found is that with a little bit of practice and kind of working on a couple of them, you can actually build some pretty cool antennas that work very well for next to nothing. Like, you can spend $2 and build an antenna that works just well enough for anything, and that costs nothing. I even lowered the cost even by using parts that I already had lying around that I wasn't going to be using in the first place. But we'll get to that. So the purpose of this stream is for you to be able to have the confidence to go out, build your own antenna, and kind of keep costs down, and at least have this as a backup antenna. Like you break your expensive one. This is actually broken. You can see one of those lobes is missing on the forelobe. So keep costs low and have some backups at least for your main antennas. Maybe this isn't something that's interesting to you. I'm actually achieving something useful for me because I'm building a set of left-hand circular polarized that I can use to, be able to, not interfere with other people's signal quite as well. So hopefully you will learn something from this. I'm definitely still learning about antennas and how they work and how to make them well. So enjoy, and I'm excited that you're here. So this is, and I'm going to switch over to this camera here. This is an antenna that I made. This is one of the ones that I've tried out a couple times, and I am extremely happy with it. This thing took me, now that I'm a little bit more confident in my antenna building skills, 20 minutes to make. This is a $60 antenna. I have not yet been able to tell the difference between the two in terms of their video quality. I'm sure that this one is a lot better. I need to do some kind of comparison tests where I fly the DVR, or record the DVR and fly the antennas out and come back and see what they do. Here's a couple. These are the other two that I've made so far. So they don't look great, but I mean they get the job done, and that's what I'm excited about. This antenna here is actually made out of a rubber ducky antenna. So you've got these dipole antennas that come with your 5.8 gigahertz transmitter that has SMA cable inside of it and an SMA thing already on it. And this is just sitting in your box and you're not using it, and this can be turned into an antenna. So we'll get to that. I have flown this one in a parking garage. That's the only place that I've had a chance to test it out yet. And honestly, it did phenomenally. So I'm going to switch over to this page, and you can see both of these flights were flown using this antenna, a ready-made RC Cricket 200 milliwatt VTX, and I was using a Video Aerial Systems helical antenna. I'm sitting, if you can see it in the video, I'm sitting in the black SUV. But so I had this antenna sitting on the this antenna was on the quad, and I was sitting in the SUV with a helical antenna with a non-diversity receiver, and this is the footage that I was able to get. I mean, you can see that there's a little bit of breakup once in a while, but you know, I don't think there's nothing there to complain about. Like, this is an antenna that I made myself for like $2. Actually, this is totally free because I didn't actually buy anything for it. For $2, that, you know, you look at the video from this. This is flying around giant things of concrete. I even go like upstairs to the second floor over top of me so that I don't have anything near line of sight to the quad, and it still works awesome. So I'm super excited about it. I don't know, I haven't done any serious range testing, like I said, and I don't know exactly how much it's gonna, you know, maybe it's at the range, or maybe behind trees or something. It's not going to work very well. But for a little crappy looking antenna that I made for $2, it's doing an awesome job. So, with all that to say, and if anybody wants to know or wants to see this up again, let me know. I can put that back up. But so all that to say, what we're going to be doing is building 2 left-hand circular polarized antennas, because I need some left-handers. And we're going to make it with 2 different things. Shoot, I've already lost this. This guy here is an AOM-way antenna that I have that broke. There's one of these. Ooh, my fingernails do not look great right now. This guy broke a lobe. I think it got hit by a prop of somebody else, and so it's just useless now. Well, actually, this would still work fine, but I'm going to go ahead and just snip it off here and make my own cloverleaf for it, because I want to have that back in stock, and I can use what's left of this antenna. I've got a bunch of broken antennas that I'm going to do this same thing. That's there. So yeah, so that's one thing. And I'm also going to make one out of this rubber ducky, because I think that these are pretty sweet. If you want to see, and let me, actually, can anybody tell me if there's anything wrong with the stream? I keep getting like erroring out on my screen here, but nobody's mentioned anything about something going wrong. So I just want to let you know. So yeah, so we're gonna cut this in half and make a new lobe for it, and we're gonna make a completely brand new antenna out of this dipole rubber ducky. So yeah, let's get this party started. Things that you're gonna need. In the video description, I've got the wire that I am using. I've got some wire that's recommended instead of what I'm using. That's probably a little bit better. You can get it on Amazon for $10 and you'll have enough wire to make like 60 antennas. I didn't actually do the math on that, but you can make a shit ton. And then finally, I also linked to eBay to a set of SMA cables that are like this antenna, that have this kind of bendy cable, like, so you could make it like a Spironet. So all of the parts you're going to need are listed there. In addition, you're going to need a soldering iron. I used hot glue and liquid electrical tape, and wire strippers with a cutter. Calipers you're going to actually need. This is something I do not recommend going without, and we'll get to why in a minute. And pliers. Sorry, I need to take a... This is a little bit of cider. But yeah. And thanks to Hive PV for making this cool overlay here in the corner. He did a great job with it. I'm really excited about it. Almost looks halfway professional, right? Okay. So, next. So the first thing that we need to do, and I've pre-made some of these because I wanted to save a little bit of time. It's not hard cider, it's just cider. I wanted to save a little time, and so I pre-made the lobes for one of the 2 antennas. So the first thing we need to make are these guys. What I am using here is, I actually don't even know the gauge of this wire because it was given to me and just kind of said, here, use this, it's there. I have a link to what it is in the description, but basically this wire is, it's very stiff, like compared to some of the ones you're used to. Like here's this Bluebeam Ultra, look at the thickness of that compared. My understanding is that antennas with smaller gauge wire are the most, tend to be more forgiving in terms of making measurements and making bends, okay? That's my understanding. This is obviously a lot thicker, but it's stiffer, and it's going to take the hits a lot better, and we're going to be able to build antennas more easily without bending up things incorrectly. So that's my understanding. Again, I have not noticed any bad performance out of these guys, but that is what is the truth. So I've got fatter wire. This, well, here, let's just do the calipers on it. So this is about 1.6 millimeters across, 1.5. So if somebody wants to figure out what gauge that is, that's what that is. So what we're gonna do is I gotta first strip some of this shielding off. We don't need that, or we won't later. It's tough, bastard. Okay, so that's just copper wire now. The wire coating does not have the gauge listed on it because it's actually the core of the wire that I listed to on Lowe's. Let's see. So the next thing that you got to do is you've got to actually figure out how long to make the lobes and at what length to make these bends. Okay, to do that, David Windestål, the guy that we all love from Flight Test, the Swede, yeah, he's a Swede, has made on his website a calculator for figuring out what measurements you need to make on your lobes. So if we go over to his site, and I'm going to go ahead and share my desktop here. If you go to his site, you can see he's got a whole page on how to build antennas and how to use the things and what all of the information is. He's got a list to some coax cable as well as some copper-plated MIG welding wire, which is linked to Amazon and whatnot. But what's exciting is that he's got this frequency calculator. Now, antennas can be custom built to particular frequencies. I tend to fly on the frequency 5745. That's where, in my group of friends that I fly with, I just keep this on 5745 most of the time, so that we, don't stomp on each other's signals. Now, whatever signal you're most excited about, or whatever you use the most, is what you should build your antenna for, because you can tune the actual soldering, or you can tune the actual dimensions of the antenna to fit the sorry, you can tune the actual antenna to fit where you're flying. So whatever frequency you're using. So I'm going to make these for 5745 left-hand circular polarized. Okay, I hope that all made sense. But all I have to say, go check out David Windestål's calculator. Use that to get the proper dimensions for your lobes. So I know, according to David's calculator, that I need my frequency, the length of my lobe piece of copper. I'm trying to straighten this out as best as I can. And again, this isn't an exact, it is an exact science, but I've found that being imprecise is okay. Again, not a lot of experience, not a lot of testing, but you know, you can see the video, you can see that it actually did pretty well despite my imprecision. I need to make this wire here 52.34 millimeters long. So, sorry, I'm going to pop open my calipers, pull this out to 52, what did I just say, 52.34? I made like four of these and I've already forgotten. 52.34. And to get these like last couple hundredths of a millimeter, I just like flick it and it goes by just enough. So 52.33, close enough. All right, so I'm locking this down. And the best way that I've found to do this is to push it all the way up against like this and then actually just scratch it on the side of the caliper here. And that makes a little score there that I can now take my wire clippers and cut right across it. So now, if I put this back in here, oh, I think I got the wrong score. So now I got to cut this again. Right about there. I'm trying to cut it long because I can always cut it down a little bit. And that is just about right. If I put this in here, that fits in perfectly. So that's just about right. With that suggestion, can we make or do without a caliper to measure? Again, I don't know. This goes down to tenths or hundredths of a millimeter. And the more precise that you can make your cuts and your measurements, is the better. So go get a pair of calipers for, you know, $5, $10. Actually, I have no idea how much these are because these were a gift. But you want to have a pair of calipers to do this. Okay, so 52.33. Now, before I reset my caliper, I'm going to actually cut the other lengths. So what I'm doing is just kind of eyeballing it here. I'm measuring this. I'm holding this flat against my thumb, and then I'm taking my clippers. I'm going up against the wire and cut. Now these are, if these were straight. Now these are very, very close to the same length, as you can see. Okay. Now, oh, look at this. I cut exactly the right amount of heat shrink off. Look at, like, that's like perfect. So I'm just gonna cut right at the thing there. And now we've got 3 lengths of wire that are very, very close to what they want. Hi, Will. So yeah, so looking real good. I like this. I'm excited about it. We gotta so now what we want to do is get these as straight as possible. Again, with this fatter wire, it's pretty hard to bend it all in into exactly straight. But you know what? We're about to bend it, so it doesn't matter too much. Again, it's a practice of how precise can you make it, but you know, you're going to be flying it through the air. You're going to be banging it into stuff. You know, it's not the end of the world if we accidentally bend it up a little, or don't have it quite perfectly bent. So I'm still just kind of straightening these out. All right, so those should be close enough. They're so you can see that they're pretty close to the same length. We got one that's a little bit longer. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and recut this one. It's just a little bit too short. One second. Always have a knife. I'm going to score. There we go. All right, let's see if that's a little better. A little bit too long. So I'm just trimming off ever so slightly, and I'm out. Okay, so that's just about perfect. Okay, Slow-Mo FPV asks, what is the status on the KISS for the XBR? So I talked to my client, the Louisville, or FPVRaceLeague.com, and they are sending a full set of 24 amp KISS, and I sent the 30 amps back. So that's the status on that. I'm waiting on those ESCs. As soon as they get here, I might just go ahead and straight build it. I don't know if I'm going to live stream that finish. I might, because it's kind of that, that was what I started it there, but we'll see. So we've got these three. Now the next step is to bend them at this point. So again, with frequencies, you want to have the most precise measurements that you can. And so we need to actually bend this at a particular dimension. So back on David Lindestål's calculator, we can go and see the bend length that he suggests. Now, for 5745, which are what my antennas are going to be, you bend them at 13.08 millimeters. And so we'll reset our calipers again. 13.08. Oh, so close. 13. Come on. Oh, dang it. It's so hard to get it so perfect. Oh, right there. Bang on the money. 1308. Okay. So, now, what I do for this is, again, it's kind of getting, it's about being as precise as you can with what you've got. We can only be so precise. I put it up like this. I take my pliers, line it up with the end, and hold. So now this is locked in here. I'm going to make that first bend right on that point. Okay, so now we've got a pretty solid bend right on what is 13.3 or 13.08 millimeters. Now, on the same plane, we need to make that bend on the other end. And okay, so now we've got pretty good looking bends. They're both about the right size. Again, as precise as you can. And then you can just go in here, and I'm just kind of trying to make that bend as sharp as possible by kind of just bending it back a little bit and getting it right, just right. You want this to be a right angle, and then we'll make it into a lobe a little bit later. So that's that one. Now, if I've found that I can go pretty quick with these, but I'm definitely taking my time to explain and get this as good as we can. He already has the KISS 24 amps. Okay, so that's that. I'm going to bend that there. 7Sark7 asks, can you start over, please? This will all be uploaded to my YouTube channel, which you can subscribe to, within a few hours after this finishes. So, yes, I can start all over by letting you watch from the beginning. So, we got 2 done, we got 1 more to go. So you can see how this would go fast if you just kind of sit down with some TV, set your calipers, and just bend a bunch of wires, straight in a row. So you could do, a couple of these in an hour, easy, and save yourself, what adds up pretty fast if you keep breaking antennas. Okay, so got this guy, bend that back, bend that back. All right, so these guys, if we did our job right, should all look pretty darn close to the same dimensions. They might be a little bit off, but you know, again, we can only be so precise. But you know, that's looking pretty good there. The length of these is all pretty close. You know, that's within, you know, a millimeter or two. So I'm pretty okay with that. Excuse me. I just have like a little bit stuck in my throat. That's kind of frustrating on the screen, I'm sure. All right. So next what we got to do is bend this curve into it. Now, my understanding, I believe, is that you want the angle of this curve here. So from, there it is. Sorry, one second. Yeah, pointing tool. So this inside angle, we want to be about 105 degrees. I don't know how much that matters. Again, be as close as you can, because this one doesn't look quite 105 degrees. And this one actually looks a little bit shorter than it. So, you know, again, I'm just going to kind of eyeball it, get it as close as I can, and just make it look like this antenna. Yeah, and that's another tip, I think, is to have an antenna that you know works well, and look at that and use that to compare the build, so that you kind of know what to expect. So to do this, what I've been doing is basically I'm going to make a series of bends across the whole thing. Otherwise, you end up with just one bend in the middle. So I'm just going to bend it a little bit there, a little bit there, a little bit there, a little bit there, and so on, all the way down until I've got a nice even curve all the way across, making, and this is probably the least precise part for me. I can't get it very well. Some of these have turned out really well, some of them have not in the bend. So, you know, that's pretty close. This is you know, that's closer to 90 degrees. So I've got to kind of flatten it a little bit. And so now we're getting closer to 105, you know. And so it just kind of ends up being a game of playing with it. So that looks pretty good there. So I'm going to leave that one the way it is. This copper is 1.65 millimeters wide. So I'm going to get this one, just one bend at a time. Excuse me 1 second, I'm going to close my door real quick. Sorry about that. Okay, continuing to bend. Okay. Now again, I'm just flattening that curve out a little bit to get it as close to 105 degrees, eyeballing it as I can. So that's pretty good again there. And the final one. Bend, 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 bend. Good night, Alberto. Okay. That one actually came out pretty close, but I'm going to flatten it just a little bit more. Okay. So those are 3 lobes. I'm going to try to flatten these out against the cutting board here. I'm just doing my best to mash it down. I'm going to make this a little bit wider of a curve. There we go. That's looking a lot better. That's pretty good. You know, again, it's super imprecise, I know, and I apologize for not having a better plan. You can use jigs and stuff, but I've heard that they're only so helpful. So I've kind of just been getting comfortable with freehanding it. So we've got our 3 lobes ready to go. So now what's next? I'm going to start with this one because I like this material a lot more. It's easier to work with. It's cooler looking. So this one's broken. I know this looks like a good antenna, but you know this lobe is already coming off here and all that stuff. So I just can't. So I'm actually just going to go ahead and go. It feels so evil, but you know now it's done. Goodbye, trash. So now what we've got is this. It's just a coax cable, like just a regular old cable that you would use for an antenna. You can buy just this on Amazon. You can actually buy it with 2 ends, or eBay actually. I have a link to something like this in eBay with two ends with this connector, which is what you need exactly for your VTX, is on eBay. And so you get it with 1 on either side, so you can cut it in half and make 2 of these, which is awesome. RC Addicted says, I just saw your podcast with Lilam about getting into FPV. It was good. Thank you. I loved doing it. Doing podcasts is so much fun. And somebody asked, where is everybody from? I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana. Okay. So now what we need to do is strip away a little bit of the protective coating on here. And so what I'm going to do is just kind of score it. I'm not cutting through it. I'm just trying to score the outside of this because this stuff is kind of plasticky, I've found. And then I'm just going to use my knife to try to scrape this off a little bit. Okay, there we go. All right, so now what we've got is this inside coating, this is the ground for the entire antenna. And it's out of this ground that we're going to be building the base of the whole antenna. So what I'm going to do here is I've actually got to cut through this. I could use a better like hobby knife or something. This is all I've got. So I'm just trying to get it cut through so that I can unwrap the shielding. That's not quite through yet. This is why I keep a cutting board on my desk. Everybody likes to make fun of my cutting board, but it's awesome. Almost there. Okay. So this shielding is off. And I'm just opening it up here so that we can see a whole flat surface of it. Now, not every antenna is the same, and we'll demonstrate that a little bit in a second when we try it with another type of antenna. But so what we need to do here is to split this shielding, because we're making a 3-lobe antenna, into 3 equal parts. And so for that, I'm just going to take a pair of scissors and kind of guesstimate. I guess they don't need to be perfect. I think this is probably one of the parts where precision is maybe the most okay to skimp on. And what you want to you want to be careful not to break it, because you need these to solder onto. Which I just did. Now this stuff is kind of a pain to work with, but it's definitely the best material for antennas. All right, so I just broke that again. So I'm going to just trim this back a little bit. I'm this idiot. So we've got to start again a little bit here. All right, there we go. So what happened was that I ripped off the lobes that I was trying to create. and that meant that now I have to start again. Come on. There we go. All right, so more carefully this time, I'm going to go ahead, use the scissors, and cut this into 3 parts. All right, so now once we've got that, we're going to kind of spread them out around the outside of the core into as evenly spaced positions across the outside. So we're just kind of making the base of the antenna into 3 parts like that. And then I'm just going to use the pliers to kind of, this stuff is actually very stiff, so I'm trying to just pinch it down into more like wires. Okay, so that's a little bit better. So we've got 3 parts there, nice and evenly spaced out, and that's the base base of the antenna. Before I get too far, I'm going to add a little bit of heat shrink because I cut the base of that away a little bit too far. So I'm just going to carefully fold these guys up. I should be able to slip a piece of this over the end. I'll just get it right there. All right, so we'll be able to heat shrink that right on the bottom when we're done with this. All right. Now the next thing we need to do is expose the inside of that. This is the positive part of the wire, and we're going to be soldering the antenna onto that. So we've got to strip away a little bit of this protective shielding. Now, so you see that guy can come out. It's not like glued in there or anything, and it's just it's at risk of pulling out. So just make sure that you're very careful with stripping this away because you don't want to accidentally pull the core on it to get it out of the SMA. RC Flight asks if you've tried 3D printing a protective hat. I have not, no. My friend has, and they break all the time, and so it just didn't seem worth it to me. So I'm just going to use the knife here to cut that. Carefully. I'm trying not to put much pressure on the SMA because I don't want it to come out like I was just saying. Now again, this is taking way longer than it would if I was doing it off camera, because I don't want to, because I'm trying to slow down and do it. But so you can really pump these out in just a few minutes. Okay. So we've got our things here. So now the next thing I want to do is tin these guys up. Everything here. There's going to be a ton of solder on all of this, just to help both with structure and with connections. Hold on a sec. Soldering iron is tangled. Okay. Okay, I've got my fatty solder. Okay, I think we're back. Maybe. Okay, I think we might be back. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, I'll just keep going, and worst comes to worst, I'll at least, I'm recording this as well, so I'll upload it if I have to. All right, here we go. Now, so I'm going to tin up the lobes on these antennas. These get very hot very fast because copper likes to conduct heat very well. And I'm just going to let that drop off and tin all these guys up. Okay. Cool. There we go. Now, we've got all three of these tinned. We've got this tinned. So now I'm going to go ahead and mount. So the best way I found to do this is to mount this guy on the helping hands. I'm making left-hand circular polarized. It looks like the stream health is low now. So I'm starting to record sure that I've got this. All right, so left hand would be mounting it. You know what? I'm going to cut this down a little bit. It's just a little bit too tall. So I'm going to make the center a bit wider. So all of the power in the house just went out. I've never had that happen before, so my bad. This is crazy. Am I back? Are we back? It's so hard to tell sometimes. Oh, this is ridiculous. I guess I'll just film a video afterwards and just upload that. All right. Well, this is crazy. All right, well, I'm going to push on. It looks like we've got it back a little bit, maybe. So I'm retinning this after I cut it. Now, so I'm making a left-hand circular polarized antenna, which means that the lobes are going to twist. The top is going to be on the left, and the bottom is going to be on the right. So if you look at this is a right-hand circular polarized. I'm going to try to show it this way. You can see how this side is on the right and this side is on the left. So we've got to reverse that for the antenna that we're making here. So what I do is I'm going to point the lobe that I'm going to solder onto at me, and then I'm going to make a 90-degree angle and just solder it onto this part. I don't know if that makes any sense. So I'm going to, nice beard, dude, thank you. So I'm going to solder it at a kind of like at a 45-degree angle to the bottom, and just leave it like that for now. I'm not going to worry about the middle quite yet. So because this gets really hot really fast, I'm going to hold it here with my pliers, because I don't want to be holding it while I'm trying to solder it. I'm going to set it up the way that I want it. And because I tinned these so much, there's going to be enough solder to kind of flow it all together. So I'm just going to heat both those at the same time. Everything will stick together nicely. Hold on a sec. This got bent on me here. I'm just bending this back into place by heating it and bending it at the same time. I'll put a little bit more on there. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so that's pretty good. That'll hold for now. Now I'm going to twist it, halfway around. Grab the next one and put it on the exact same way. Okay, so I'm going to reinforce those joints later, so don't worry that they don't look perfect right now. I'm going to go another turn around. Get this back on here. So I'm just trying to heat both the copper and the piece of the SMA at the same time. Now I'm trying to get, so I've got this kind of, there's a 45-degree angle, 45-degree angle, 45-degree angle, and then once I get this all locked in, I can then kind of make those final bends to get it in place well. So the next thing I want to do is get the middle bit connected. I want the joints in the middle to be nice and solid before I start trying to bend everything. So I'm just going to try to roughly get these all into the same place, and these will bend pretty well, just about right. So you can see now straight down the middle that they're well placed on that centerpiece. And now I'm going to just flow a metric crap ton of solder in there to make a nice solid joint in the middle. So you see how nice and strong that thing looks? Like that's not going anywhere. Accidentally. All right. So now I'm going to add more solder on the arms here to kind of make that a little bit more secure. Turn this around. You can see how this particular connection ended up getting a little bit weaker. So we'll add a bunch more there. Gosh, my hands are decided to shake now all of a sudden. All right, so now I'm just kind of adding a little bit of solder here and there to reinforce it a lot. Okay, so that's not quite there yet. We got to do a little bit of bending still. You can see how this lobe is down a little bit, and this one is down a little bit as well, and then they need to be kind of positioned to the middle a little bit. That's pretty close right now for a rough antenna, but it's still really hot, so I'm going to leave it alone for now. I'm going to set that aside, and we'll come back to it in a second. Now, I want to talk about the rubber ducky one, because I think that this is fantastic, and it's going to be, I think it's going to be really useful for you guys. So right here, you can see that there's a joint, okay? If you just go like this, it comes off right there, no problem. And then I'm going to hold on to this SMA cable so that I don't pull it out the bottom. I'm going to try to get this cap off. So you just desolder that, and that comes right off. Gets out of the way. Now you've got a nice bit of cable coming out the top of this rubber ducky. Now if we just cut right here, we've got a mounted, bendable SMA connector, and we're good to go. So now this wire is a lot thinner and a lot harder to work with, I think, than this stuff because it's just a lot smaller, the stuff that's in the rubber ducky by default. So I'm just going to strip off that outer shielding, and now I just have the SMA connections exposed. And so now I'm going to just kind of try to spread this shielding out, or the negative wire. You got this like wire metal mesh, and I'm just trying to get it apart enough that I can start unbraiding it and turning it into those 3 points on the antenna, like with the other one. So I got 2 there. I need to put some heat shrink on here before I forget. So what I found with these guys is that this will actually fit over this metal piece, or this plastic piece, and so I can kind of guesstimate about how long I'll need there. So we'll go like that. Okay, so I'm going to continue trying to get, got to make my 3 lobes. Just kind of continue pushing it down the end and then try to get it all separated into 3 equal parts. This can kind of be a pain, in my opinion. And again, this is a lot smaller, I think, so it's a lot harder to work with. So I'm just kind of twisting up. Oh, now that I've done all this work, I've got to put this guy on, because I'm an idiot. Alright, so now you can see that those 3 lobes are there. I get those evenly spaced, and I'm just going to go ahead and tin it right away, because that'll give it a lot of structure. Okay. There we go. Bloop. 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 Okay. So same deal as with the other one, just a lot smaller, a little bit harder to work with. So you can cut off some of this shielding here, so you get the juicy SMA inside. And again, it's very, very small, so it's just a little bit harder to work with. But I love this antenna because because it's just, you have it already, it's free, it's easy to make, and it's, you know, it bends and stuff. So I think that'll be a good addition. Now, I'm going to tin these guys up still. These are the ones that I made before the stream so that we didn't have to spend the whole time bending things, which, you know, we're doing anyway, so whatever. All right. All right, while we wait for those to cool, because they're going to be really hot, we'll continue bending this guy a little bit. So I'm just going to use my pliers here, hopefully without breaking anything too badly. I'm just trying to bend these back up as flat as possible. Now this lobe has to move over. Getting pretty close. I'm just doing this very gently because I don't want to break any of those joints. That's looking pretty good. Bend this one down a little bit. All right, so it's pretty good. I mean, look at that. I mean, these are opposite each other, but I mean, it's not perfect. But again, I think it'll get the job done. And that's what we care about here in FPV. Pretty sweet, right? So we'll come back and hot glue that later because I want to get the glue gun hot, all of them at the same time, so I don't have to unplug it and plug it back in. All right, so now that we've got this guy ready, Humboldt 710 says, thanks for the kick in the butt to finally do this, Boba Fett. You are very welcome for any butt kicking you would like, I guess. All right, so left hand, so we're tilting to the left. Try to get this at 90 degrees. 90 degrees to the stem, but 45 degrees on the tilt that back up a little bit. Gosh, if my hand wasn't shaking so bad. I don't know what's going on. Just using my chest here to steady it. I'm going to set that one down for a second because it's too hot. Okay, got that one close enough. Yeah, I think a jig would help with this part especially, but yeah, I think there's a lot of 3D printed ones that are available. But I do not have a 3D printer, nor will I probably ever get one. At least not until the technology improves a lot. Okay. So that's pretty close. They're a little bit tall right now, but that's fine. You can see how it's a lot better on the bottom there. It's a lot flatter than it was before on the other one. So now we want to bend these middle pieces to meet up at the SMA joint. Don't break it. Oh no! Man, I haven't had this much trouble with the duckies before. Shoot. This one might be a lost cause. The duckies again are awesome if but they're trickier because they're so small. Okay. Got that back together. I'm going to be a little bit more careful trying to get these placed for the middle. So I'm holding it by the leaf that I'm bending. So that the pressure isn't on the joint, which is what I had screwed up before. So I'm just positioning all of this to solder into the SMA on the top. Okay, that's looking a little bit better. So again, we're just getting a lot of solder in there to make a nice, strong joint. So getting there. Now I'm going to really reinforce this bottom part because it was wanting to break on me. There we go. So that's getting there. Still needs to be bent back, but that's really hot right now, so I'm going to set it aside again. All right, in the meantime, why don't we try this guy out? See how it's doing. This one, I'm not super happy with this one, but you know, that's life. Let's see if we can... Yeah, it's okay. Like this one, this arm right here is a little bit bendy, but it's not too bad. All right. So I've got my handy dandy FPV monitor. Plug that in. Get this light out of the way. Now I'm going to grab a quad. You can see that there is no VTX plugged in. The camera is actually external right now because I'm having some trouble with it. Here's our new antenna, plugging it right onto the quad. Where's my battery? Plugging in a battery. Pudding. And now we have a working FPV system. That antenna works, and we are seeing just about everything. So now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk down to the garage. I'm going to close like 2 or 3 doors on the way, and you'll see that, is this upside right? Oh, this is actually upside down, but it's working for you guys. It's funny. I'm going to walk downstairs and kind of show you that this is still kicking butt. So bear with me here. Be right back. Probably. All right. Did the signal stay pretty good? All right, I'm unplugging this now. So, I mean, for an antenna, that honestly cost me a couple bucks, if that. Holy shit, right? I mean, I walked down to the garage, I closed 2 doors along the way, and, you know, it still beams right through everything. I mean, this is my, just so for reference, you know, this is where the video antenna was sitting. Like, that's the receiver that we just see, and it's just, I mean, it's just sitting there, not even aimed right or anything, with a crappy antenna from Amazon. So I mean, it's like, why are we not making our own antennas all the time? Because, you know, once you practice that, you can do pretty well. Ronnie T asks, how many milliwatt of transmitter is that? That's a Cricket 200 milliwatt. So it's not like it's a 600 milliwatt transmitter blowing out my entire house. Like, it's just a little antenna or a little transmitter with a pretty decent antenna, you know, beaming all the way through the house. Like, that's so cool. I could do the same thing with my Bluebeam Ultra, and you would notice, and Bluebeam Ultra is like the most expensive antenna you could buy, and highest quality. But, you know, and that's going to do just about as well. So now I'm trying to just bend this guy back into place. Oops. It's not quite going where I want it to. Did you use your homemade antennas in the garage video? Yes. This video right here, all of those FPV shots are with the parking garage, or those are with this custom antenna right here. Obviously not the one that I just walked down to the garage with, but. Yeah, Patrick Pisiatric first was with me. He's in the sedan when I was testing this out, so he can attest that it is legitimately the antenna. All right. So we've got this guy. Nick asks if you've tried making any other antennas like a helical. Oh, keep in mind that, oh my gosh, that's interesting. So I walked down to the garage with a left-hand circular polarized antenna, and the one that's on my receiver is right-hand. So I don't know if that's good or bad that it still worked. But yeah, so that's looking close enough. I'm having trouble bending this one right. Yeah, I'm not nearly as happy with this one as the other one. Okay, so I think that's about as good as it's going to get. It looks pretty good from the side, but it doesn't look as good from the top. But I think that'll do well enough for what I need it. Now I'm going to do this heat shrink real quick. Thank you to my subscriber that sent me this. And I'm going to plug in a hot glue gun here real quick. Look who bought a heat gun. Yep, one of my subscribers sent me $15, and I went to Harbor Freight and picked up that heat gun by his request. But yeah, when I was doing this, when I was making this antenna, or when I was testing out this antenna at the garage, I crashed. You can actually see the crash in the left-hand video. Alex K. Pell 12345 asks if I do also make drones. Yes, I do. You could actually in the left video, the one that's right here, you can see whenever it finishes its loop, it does crash, and that's the crash that broke a motor, a camera, a lens, and something else. And it was the only crash of the night, and it just wrecked my gear because I crashed onto concrete. Sorry, I'm waiting for hot glue to warm up. But yeah, that's stunk. But that was such a fun flying experience. I've never done a garage before, so it was a blast. I definitely want to go back, but I don't know if I can risk my gear that much anymore. Yeah, here's the crash. It's coming up. Bam, bam. You can see the lens busted up right there. So good. Sucks. So yeah, basically I have 2 birds totally down right now because of that flying experience. I'm waiting on a camera, and I'm waiting on the QAV is the one that did crash. I'm waiting on a camera and a VTX. One in each needs to be. You can see Patrick there picking up his quad from the 2nd level. Do I sell the drones I make? I've never sold one that I've made, but I would. But yeah, the QAV is the one that took the hit, so I had to replace a motor, and I had to replace I have to replace the camera, which I still haven't done. But yeah, the camera, like the actual whole case snapped, which is horrible. So it's just toasted. All right, hot glue gun is finished. All right, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to lock this in place down here against the heat shrink so that it doesn't spin on that axis. And I'm going to dump a bunch of hot glue here into the joint just to sturdy it up. It doesn't look very good, unfortunately, but it's definitely worth protecting the antenna a little bit. Okay. So, just a little bit of hot glue goes a long way. Here's the other antenna. I build stuff just for fun, yes. Okay, that one's this one's a lot stronger. I believe in this one much more than this one, but they'll both work great. Both of them left-hand circular polarized. Somebody had asked, I don't remember if I answered the question, somebody asked if I wanted to build a helical or some other kind of antenna, and yes, I plan on doing that now. I want a helical, a circular polarized, and and two left-hand circular polarized, one for the quad and one for the diversity receiver. So what you're saying is the next live stream will be fixing stuff. Well, I actually fixed the QAV mostly. The next live stream will hopefully be a micro quad, so keep tuned for that. But I'll be posting more information about that as I know it. So that's done. Okay, final step. The last thing you want to do is take this, which is liquid electrical tape. It will keep the copper from shorting out on anything because there is a current flowing through this, and it will help protect against dings and scratches and all those fun things. So I just basically, there's no science to this. I just take it and glob it on as best I can and try to get all of the nooks and crannies. It doesn't like to stick on the wire, so I'll usually do two coats, which is fine because I'll just set it, do the first coat, go watch some TV, come back. It dries pretty quick, so you can come back and do the second coat. It smells delicious. I'd like to use like a spray electric tape, but I don't have any, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. But yeah, just globbing it on. I'm just going to cover this whole thing because black is cooler, right? Yeah, I'm definitely going to do 2 coats on this one. And then just balance it right there. Gotta clean up the glue on this one a little bit. Smells like cancer, yeah, basically. It's actually it kind of smells like dry erase markers. But there you go. We now have 2 custom left-hand circular polarized antennas that do a good enough a job. Again, I'm not an expert at making antennas. I'm not very practiced at it, as you clearly saw, but I can see. You can see from the demonstration. Oh, sorry. You can see from the demonstrations that, I mean, they work pretty well. I don't, again, I haven't done a huge testing, and that was with, let's see, where is it? This antenna is flying in that video, and it seems to do a pretty good job for, what it is, which is a next to free antenna that you can make as many as you want, and they'll perform adequately, as far as I can tell. But yeah, Bon, far end, and these work better than China antennas? I think so. So yeah. Does anybody have any questions? Anything that they want to talk about? Anything that they want me to talk about? Next week on the live stream, we're hopefully doing, assuming all the parts come in, we're going to be building a complete do-it-yourself microcopter. I've got some parts on the way, and so hopefully that'll all be ready. So that's my plan at this point. We'll be at the same time, 8 o'clock. Be here working on that. Hopefully we won't have as many YouTube problems. I think I'm going to go out and buy a Ethernet to Thunderbolt connection so that the quad will stay, so that the computer will work better. I don't know if that's the problem, if that it's on wireless or not. But again, I didn't have any problems with it before. But PS4 Weed asks if you ever use sperm in a project. No. And Gwent asks, do you like waffles? Yes, I do. But I have celiac disease, which means jeez, I'm tired. I am allergic to gluten. I will actually get sick. So good gluten-free waffles are hard to come by. USB to Ethernet will be just as good and cheaper. Oh, yeah, I can do that. And Wi-Fi sucks for streaming. Yeah, apparently. So, yeah. Oh, well. Cool. Well, thanks, everybody, for coming. It's been a blast. I hope that you learned something and that you try some of your own antennas. I want to see pictures of the ones that you make, so go to paulnarcola.com, upload a picture of your antenna somewhere, send me a message, whatever. Oh, wait, you want to know weight? Let me grab my scale. Just gonna set these over here for a second. Going to USB cam. Oh, just kidding, wrong one. Okay, see that? Now, so this is the one. This is my favorite one that I've made so far. It is 9 grams. This is a Bluebeam Ultra. It is, ooh, wow, 4 grams. My website is paulnarcola.com. You can see it right here. This is a Video RL Systems Mad Mushroom. It's fatty. It's 20 grams. All right, he's out of here. Sorry. This is a regular rubber ducky. It's also 9 grams. So this is the best one. This is my favorite one. Almost 10 grams, so it's a little bit on the heavy side. This is the rubber ducky one. It's 8 grams. And then this is the new Aomway one, 10.6 grams. So yeah, there you go. Those are the weights. So they're a little bit heavier probably than some. but you know they'll work very well. This is another one that I made with a right ankle adapter as the base of it. So that's what that is. And then this is a stubby little rubber ducky based one that I cut down even further than the other one. But that's just hot glue that's already breaking off. So it's still structurally sound, but I don't think that this one's going to last as long. But I like this one because you can have it at an angle, or you can have it straight. So you know, however you have your mounting set up, and then so what you do is if you mount on your quad, you mount on your quad going. Shoot. Because it will fold over in a crash, hopefully instead of breaking. I'm hoping that will actually do some good. But you know, something worth playing around with to see what happens. Gosh, not bad. Oh, do we need to test out the? We gotta test out the new rubber ducky one first, real quick, before I go. Because I need you guys' help testing it. Okay. Rubber ducky antenna. Let's do left to left this time too. I'll actually I'll put the new left hand on this video receiver. Okay. So left is on here and left is on the quad. We power up the quad in 3, 2, 1. Got video. Oh, do same test? Compare apples to apples? I see what you're saying. That's a good idea. Okay. Taking this off. Putting the left one back on. All right, I'm walking away. Be right back. Oh. Yeah, that one doesn't look as good, does it? Well, I kind of figured going into it, it looked like it was... the antenna is definitely not as high of quality. It's not bent very well and stuff, so... Might have to redo that one, but, you know, free antenna. Cool. So yeah, so I hope you guys learned a little bit about antennas, learned a little bit about how to make them, Again, not an expert. I'm not totally sure how to do all of this super well, but just testing. But I'm excited to continue trying them out. So I'll be posting back on how things work out with those antennas. But I'm pretty positive with them so far. So thank you all for coming by. It's been a blast. Sorry about all the trouble with the stream. Once again, newcomers, thanks for coming out. For everybody that's coming back, I'm glad you're here. Let me know if you have any suggestions for a live stream, something that you'd like me to talk about or build, or send me your quad and have me fix it. I'd be happy to do that. And yeah, if you're a vendor, feel free to reach out. I'd be super excited to do one of these streams. They get great engagement. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, good way to show some products. But yeah, next week, hopefully we're doing a complete micro build, and that should be fun. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. It's been a blast. Have a good night.